We like to think of history as a book. A long, dusty, but ultimately complete narrative of how we got from stone tools to smartphones. But what if I told you that the vast majority of human history was never written down? History isn't a complete record, it's a filter. It's survival of the luckiest. Think of the Roman historian Livy. He wrote 142 books on the history of Rome. Today, only 35 of them survive. That's a 75% loss from one of the most famous civilizations in history. History is like dark matter. It's there, but we only see the 1%, the written records. But the 99% is invisible. Today, we're looking into that void. We're asking, how much of our history have we actually lost? And more importantly, as we'll see with the work of explorers like Albert Lin, how much of it is still waiting in the shadows to be reclaimed? Let's look at the numbers. Anatomically, modern humans have been around for roughly 300,000 years. We only started writing things down about 5,500 years ago. That means for 98% of our existence, we were off the record. But even after we started writing, time is our greatest enemy. There's the material problem. We wrote on papyrus, which rots. We wrote on parchment, which burns. We wrote on clay, which crumbles. And of course, there's the archaeological filter. We have a skewed view of the past because we only know the hard cultures. Those who built in stone and lived in dry deserts. If you were a brilliant civilization that built in wood or lived in a rainforest, well, to history, you almost don't exist. And there's the question of oral traditions. When a language dies without being written down, an entire world's worth of philosophy and history vanishes instantly. Take the Domesday book. Back in 1085, William the Conqueror commissioned this massive survey to figure out exactly who owned what in England so he could collect his taxes. It's an incredible high-resolution snapshot of 11th century England. But the pages are old. 1,000 years is a long time for any book to survive. And few copies do survive. It's written in highly abbreviated medieval Latin, and even for a language nerd like myself, it's pretty hard to decipher today. You'd think that we'd solved this problem in the digital age. But we're already seeing what's often referred to as bit rot set in. In 1986, to mark the 900th anniversary of the original tome, the BBC launched the Domesday Project, a massive, sprawling digital survey of the United Kingdom. A snapshot of a moment in time captured largely by the ink-stained fingers of school kids. These kids weren't writing for grades, they were documenting the geography, the scars of history, and the mundane beauty of their daily lives. It was all there, stitched together with maps, grainy color photos, and raw statistical data. They even threw in video and virtual walks, a desperate high-tech attempt to bottle the lightning of the British experience before it vanished into the fog of the past. However, by 2002, the discs were pretty much unreadable because the software was obsolete. Originally burned to Laserdisc, these are now nearly impossible to read. There is a massive preservation and revitalization project underway, but it's a daunting task. And it's not just a problem facing the study of big history. Even personal histories are at risk. I still have a box of 3.5-inch floppy drives with photos of my children as babies that I can't access. Even if I can find a drive to play them, I doubt that the discs are still even any good. And I remember once I had a client send me some information on a CD-ROM. I literally had to go out and buy a CD player to plug into my laptop in order to view these files. And meanwhile, although the new Domesday Project and my own personal history are somewhat of a challenge to read and access, that original Domesday book from 1086, well, you can read it just by turning the pages. But sometimes history isn't simply lost, it's stolen. And that's sort of the classic example of the politics of truth. We've all heard of the Library of Alexandria. But the destruction of history is often a tool of power. Whether it was the Spanish burning the Maya Codices, centuries of astronomy and history turned to ash in a single afternoon, or the Mongol destruction of Baghdad's House of Wisdom, erasure is an act of war. If you can delete a culture's past, you can control their future. History isn't just written by the winners, it's edited by them. We lose the stories of the marginalized because those stories were deemed dangerous or unimportant by the gatekeepers of the archive. And again, you'd think that in this age of the internet we will have solved this problem. But we've just traded one problem for another. In the past, history was lost because the signal was too weak. Nothing was written down, or what was written down was lost. Today we're losing history because the noise is too loud. And this is the paradox of abundance. It goes way beyond the old needle in a haystack analogy. We aren't just looking for a needle, we're looking for a specific piece of hay in a mountain of hay that grows by 1 billion tons every single day. If nothing is recorded, the past is a blank slate. But if everything is recorded, the past becomes an impenetrable static. Future historians won't struggle to find data about us. They'll struggle to find meaning. If the ancient world was a desert where you struggle to find a single drop of water, the modern world is a flood. And in the flood, it's still hard to find anything to drink. So how do we pierce the static? We change the lens. This is where the story shifts from what we've lost to what we're reclaiming. Enter National Geographic explorer Albert Lin. He understands that to find the truth, you have to peel back the noise, whether that noise is literal jungle canopy or centuries of archaeological assumptions. Lin uses LiDAR, light detection and ranging, to fire millions of laser pulses that see through the earth and forest. In places like the Tayrona lost city in Colombia, he's revealed that what we thought was a single site was actually a massive interconnected network of hundreds of settlements. And even at famous sites like the Terracotta Army in China, Lin has used ground-penetrating radar to uncover vast, hidden structures and tunnels that were erased from the official records for 2,000 years. This, I like to call the politics of recovery. It's the realization that lost doesn't have to mean gone. By digitally deforesting the landscape, he's doing exactly what we need to do with our own digital noise, stripping away the irrelevant to reveal the structural truth underneath. So, how much have we lost? Most of it. But history isn't a closed book. It's a puzzle where we're constantly finding new pieces under the couch cushions of time. Whether it's through LiDAR lasers in the jungle or historians reading between the lines of biased text, the great silence is slowly being filled. And as we move forward, with a skeptical eye cast upon the stories we've been told our entire lives, remember that our lives are part of this record. Indeed, this video is contributing to that digital noise. The question is, in a world of infinite noise, what will we do that's worth being recovered? And if there's one piece of knowledge, one piece of history that we know has been lost, that you would like to know more about, tell me about it in the comments. Thanks for watching.